Greetings and salutations, everyone. Today is going to be a very, very fun day because I am building my personal computer. It's a thing I've wanted to do for a very long time. I'm not going to say how long, but it is a very long time. I am excited. The PC is going to be, the purpose for the PC is going to be for gaming, a little bit of streaming, not much, and a little bit of YouTube recording. I'm going to start doing YouTube videos. And I need this PC to upgrade my previous one to basically do that. So, introduction out of the way, let's start with the rationale. I am going to, okay, let's just start. So, the processor is the processor of my choice was the AMD Ryzen 3 3300X. Perfect budget, unless you're getting an Athlon, then that would be technically better budget, I guess, but this is the perfect processor that I could get for the purpose that I needed it for, and with a thermal solution, which is the Wraith Stealth. I'm very excited for this. So at not super expensive, not too cheap, but not too expensive. Perfect for a budget PC that would cost under $500. Probably not under $500, but you get what I mean. So there's that. It's a 4-core, 8-threaded beast, so it's twice as powerful as my previous processor, which is, I'm going to mention that later on, but to move away from the processor, also it is on the AM4 platform, so to move away from the processor, I go to the motherboard, which is the MSI B450 Tomahawk Max. The perfect motherboard for me. I'm not going to mention its details, too much of its details. It's got RGB though, so it's perfect for all the purposes I'm going to need for it, which is black and blue. It's got MSI's Mystic Light, which is perfect for RGB synchronization, with also my graphics card, more on that in a minute, and with a black and steel gray, or dark gray, depending on how you want to put it. Look, really, it's a solid board for its color scheme and performance. Also, very simple aesthetic. I love that. Next up is the MSI GeForce GTX 1660 Super graphics card. Now, I don't know if you can tell on the box, you obviously know what the model is because you can read the box. But it's a 1660 Super graphics card, perfect for the purpose of not super budget, but not super expensive graphics cards. And it's going to probably beat my previous graphics card. I'm not going to mention that just yet. I'm not going to mention that yet. It's got GDDR6 memory, perfect for your new graphics card, and with the same MSI Mystic Light synchronization software, it will be I can synchronize this graphics card with this motherboard, and it'll probably be blue. I'm keeping it blue because that's my color scheme. And also with a steel gray and black, a little bit of silver. I kind of like that. It gives it variety. Next up, and we're going to kind of gloss over the rest of this, except for the case, that will come in a minute, is this memory, Crucial Ballistix Sport LT, which is DDR4 3200 MHz at CL16, and with 60 gigs of it, it's perfect for your standard budget, not super budget, but like standard PC, with a steel gray heatsink. It fits the rest of my build aesthetic, I guess, is the way to put it. I got this on a really good deal, and I would technically suggest this for your own build if you're building one. Storage. We've got the Kingston KC400 SSD, 240 gigs, SATA 3, 2.5 inch. Obviously, you can see it's 2.5 inch. And just a beautiful SSD. It's going to be my boot drive and like my main game storage kind of deal. So yeah, I'm very excited for this. Also, it does have a steel gray and a little bit of black on it, which is perfect for the aesthetic, which is black, dark gray, steel gray, whatever you want to call it, and black, and I mean blue. And of course, we've got ourselves a Seagate 1.5 terabyte hard drive. It's a Barracuda, so I don't want to say it's the standard Seagate drive, but it's the one that I'm most familiar with, which is this Barracuda, 1.5 terabytes, weird storage amount, but this is perfect for my bulk storage, which is going to have the remaining whatever I'm not going to use heavily, and it's a solid hard drive for that purpose. Now, power supply. A PVIA power supply. I'm not going to mention the model because it's not needed at the moment. But a PVIA power supply, 700 watts, way more than enough of what I'm going to need. I think it at least is way more than enough. I haven't actually used it for my own PC yet because I have another random power supply. But anyways, it's got this chrome steel gray. This is kind of unusual for me because I'm usually used to seeing like a matte or glossy, but chrome, steel gray. I love steel gray, and I kind of like chrome. It's got a blue LED fan, and it says it's ATX, fully compatible with any, well, I shouldn't say any, but many cases that I'm going to be getting, which, speak of cases, is this, the Rosewill Nautilus ATX mid-tower case. It's a perfect case for its reason. It's got a glossy black. I'm not the biggest fan of glossy black, but it's pretty decent for, you know, black and blue, black, steel gray, and blue. It's got a little bit of silver. I like that silver. It's got all the front ports I need, which is USB 3.0, dual USB 3.0, power, reset, audio in and out, and of course, dual USB 2.0. It's got the expansion that I'm going to need for graphics cards and hard drives in the future. This is going to be used for an optical drive. And with 2 blue fans, which is perfect because I have a black and blue color scheme. A little bit of dark gray because, you know, I like steel gray and dark gray. But these blue fans are going to stay. The back one, which is I don't know if you can tell, it's a black fan, black Rosewill fan. I'm going to replace that. And you might be asking, with what? You don't have any other fans. This is where this comes in. The Corsair, I have to say this because there are a bunch of Corsair blue fans. Corsair AF 120 LEDs. Perfect fan for a budget PC. It's by Corsair, so it's a very respectable company. It's got blue LED, as said before, love blue LED, perfect for my color scheme. A black frame, which I love black frames. It's also kind of rigid. If you look closely, it's got like these almost triangle edges for the screws, which is I honestly love. I don't know why they make a lot of fans with this. I know they make a lot of gaming fans with it, but yeah, you know what I mean. And it's 120 millimeters, which I think is the standard. I'm not super sure, but I think 120 millimeters, which does fit in this case. So that's kind of it with the introductory with the PC, and without further ado, let's build this sucker. like this is the finished product, as I like to call it, but not without hiccups. That is a big part with PC building. First of all, optical drive. It was a slim mount. It kept getting caught on the case, so we got rid of it. I'm not blaming the case for it. I'm blaming the power. I'm blaming the optical drive. Speaking, I was about to say power supply because yes, the power supply was another hiccup. The power supply did not have the previous power supply, which was a Pivia. I mentioned it was a Pivia. It did not have an 8-pin for the stupid graphics card, so we had to get another power supply that had a dedicated 8-pin for PCIe. Yes, it does have grain on it. I did say my theme was black and blue, but I've got to deal with it. It's the best option we had at the time. Also, BIOS. The BIOS needed to be updated, otherwise we couldn't install Windows properly. But once we got the BIOS updated, we could install Windows and update it, and we downloaded some drivers that are needed for this PC to work the way I expected it to. Well, not expect, wanted it to. So, yeah, that's kind of what this is about. Just an update, kind of the finished product update. But now it's time for the fun part. And building's not the fun part. It was one of the fun parts, but it's not the only fun part. We're going to be benchmarking this against my previous PC, my old PC, to see how much an improvement it is. So, let's get benchmarking.
Now, benchmarking a machine is pretty straightforward. If you guys don't know, a lot of YouTubers that build computers or deal with tech usually deal with a benchmarking situation of some kind. Now, it depends on what situation you're talking about. If you're talking about a PC, you obviously use different benchmarks compared to that of something like a console, or, for that matter, a phone, MacBook, whatever. Now, as you guys can see in the time lapse, we are going to be running pretty straightforward benchmarks. I'm currently running Cinebench R20 on my old processor, a Pentium G4560 from Intel. Excuse me. As you guys can see, it is doing a pretty handy job. What is to note, however, is that I did not change anything about this system. Just a quick disclaimer, rather. I did not change anything with the external components. I did change the webcam, as you will see later on in the benchmarking time lapse, but the monitor itself stayed the same, and I used the same settings regardless. Now, I could have said that I could just change my monitor out, but during that upgrade, swap over from my old Dell monitor to a, beastly Samsung, but because I didn't have one at the time, and realistically, I was going to give this an unfair advantage, I decided, you know what, it's fine if I run it in a standard setting, which is 1080p, 60 FPS. Now, I'm currently running Heaven Benchmark on both if it's presets, which is DX11 or DirectX 11, because there is no DirectX 12 feature, and as well as the OpenGL. And I just ran Furmark, as you guys can see in the time lapse. Furmark is one of those that if you try and really push your graphics card, it is known to damage it. At least if you try to overclock. Now the thing is that my entire system was kind of interesting. As benchmarking, I need to get all the new, benchmarking equipment and that of the Afterburner software, as you can see in the upper left-hand corner. Now I don't use benchmark nowadays. These benchmarking nowadays, as I don't have a reason to, because I already have all my information needed. But if you're going to be playing Minecraft and you want to see your FPS, you can just use F3, or you could swap over to that of Afterburner. I am now onto my second machine, and you can already see that there's some key differences. My system ran a whole lot faster, and I also have a higher quality webcam. That is because I am not using the crappy creative one I had previously. I'm currently using a C310 from Logitech, which granted is not the best webcam to get your hands on nowadays, but if you could get one for about $50, which is actually a pretty good deal for not a bad webcam, you can expect some pretty good performance. It is high definition 720p, so that is something to note. And I actually have a discrete microphone instead of that stupid microphone on my headset. Now, I'm not saying that headset microphones are terrible or anything. I just wouldn't recommend them for current, everyday usage for someone who's doing, videos on YouTube or Twitch for that matter. As you can see, I am still using the Afterburner software because I think it's a really handy tool to use for things like benchmarking purposes, and especially if you're doing something like Minecraft, which its in-game FPS could differentiate depending on your system, or if you use F3 or not. Now, this entire purpose for the benchmarking was to just give me an idea, and also you guys, an idea of just how much different this performance is between my old system and my new system. Anyways, though, now that we have finished this section of benchmarking, let us go on to the charts and see just how much we're looking at. Now, as you guys can see, we are in our Google Slides chart, and before you start yelling at me for not using something like Excel or Slides, or slideshows or whatever, I am using Google Slides because it is the only one I'm currently acquainted with knowing. I haven't used the Microsoft product one yet, or LibreOffice if you prefer that. So, we are currently in our charts page looking at Cinebench R20. This is a pretty typical benchmark for, I think, most people, unless you don't want to use Cinebench because you think that's just like kind of a obvious answer. But as you can clearly see, there's a huge difference. So my old machine got a score of 584, which was actually, I believe, 9th place. It didn't even beat the Core i5-3550, to put in context. It beat the lowest one. Didn't even beat the second highest. Or second lowest, rather. Then, on my new machine, I got a whopping 2,217 points. And, as you can clearly see, it is over 3 times, or anywhere between 3 to 4 times the improvement in score. So, obviously, there is a huge amount of increase. That's also not even a fair comparison. My new Ryzen processor, Ryzen 3 3300X, uses 4 cores, 8 threads at 3.8 gigahertz stock, and I am having a much faster RAM and a better graphics card for that matter. So, if I was to run a benchmark like this on something that is, about equivalent to this, you can see about the same as this one. Unfortunately, though, for my old system, this one obviously demolished it. Next up is FurMark. By the way, if you guys don't know, FurMark is OpenGL based, so handy to know if you absolutely need to know if is this DX11, is this DX12, is it, OpenGL? It's OpenGL. As you guys can see, the gap does narrow a little bit. It's not as huge of an increase, but it's still pretty reminiscent of just how much better my new system is. My new system got 5,535 points, whereas my old system got a measly 2,248 points. So, roughly just over 2 times the improvement again. So, I think that's currently so far so good. And my GTX 1660 Super, which is what the FurMark is running off of, basically, for the new system, it is so much better than my old 760. Now, granted, there was a little bit of improvements with the new GTX cards, but if you're going to be getting a card, I wouldn't be getting the 760. Next up is Heaven Benchmark. Now, this is a benchmark I don't see a lot of people using, mainly because I don't know why. Maybe you might know why, but anyways, not a lot of people use Heaven Benchmark, as far as I'm aware, so we used it because it's also a pretty handy benchmarking tool just to see how well the GPU and CPU work hand in hand. We're looking at average FPS because Google Slides, or rather Google Sheets, doesn't know how to use a variable one, like anywhere in between this amount and this amount, so I just pulled in averages. We're also using DX11 preset for the first one. As you guys can see, the old machine had an average FPS of 55, so within a 60 hertz display, I would say this is pretty decent. And on my new machine, I smashed it with 115 FPS. Disclaimer, I am using the exact same monitor. I am not using any sort of, gaming monitor that has a higher refresh rate or G-Sync or whatever that makes this go faster. I am using the exact same display and the exact same, basically everything is the exact same exterior, just with a few small changes. It's the PC itself that changes. Next up is the OpenGL preset for Heaven Benchmark. Everything took a hit by about 10 FPS, but my new machine still beat it by actually 15 points. I'm just kidding, not 15 points. My old machine had 45 average FPS, and then my new machine had 105 FPS average. So, just over a 2x improvement in performance, which is actually pretty nice, considering that, OpenGL is a little bit more intensive in this case, and it did drop it by about 10 points each, but it's still it's still about the same idea. Both, it's not even fair. My new machine still pulls ahead. Java Minecraft average FPS was kind of interesting. So, first of all, this is run on version 1.16.2 and with a VSync on. This is extremely important because my old machine got 40 FPS average, and my new machine has 55 FPS. Only a 15 FPS difference. Like, what's all that about? So the problem is VSync. If you turn VSync on, it makes it more uniform with the monitor. So in case you have like a lower FPS monitor and you don't want, you want to keep it working, I guess, without having to crunch it with like a huge amount of FPS, you would use VSync. It also makes it a little bit more uniform with the refresh rate. That's especially true with something like a high refresh rate monitor. It tries to make it more uniform with that. However, if I turned VSync off, which I did not in this case, my new machine will skyrocket. In fact, I've been playing Minecraft recently, and I've seen well over 200 FPS in quite often. I mean, actually, most of the time, rather. There are actually not that many times I see a dip below like 100 FPS. So, huge improvement there. And lastly, we have Minecraft Dungeons. Still average frame rate at fast quality. This is in-game settings. You can change the quality on this from fastest to fast and so on all the way up to fanciest, which I'm still doing which I'm actually using fanciest right now, and I still have performance headroom. But as you can see, another 100% increase or 2x increase with a little bit of headroom. So this is 85 average FPS, 175 average FPS for my new system, and 85, as I said before, for my old. So just over a 100% increase, 85 FPS. Well, 85 plus 85 is 170 if I did my math right. 175 is 5 above that, so basically 100%. So I hope those charts did a good job trying to just show the difference in performance with my old machine and my new machine. So, as you can see from the footage, this new system of mine, it's so much better. My old system, which was a healthy system for quite some time. I mean, the Pentium G4560 from Intel was a solid standing budget processor for several years. And then I got my new system, which is far better. As you guys could have seen from the charts, my system handily outperformed my old aged system. The GTX 760 from NVIDIA, not even good enough to compare against my GTX 1660 Super. My 8 gigs of RAM, granted I did upgrade to 16 gigs a little bit down the line, but my new kit of RAM was far better. Got a discrete SSD, dedicated SSD rather. I got a 1.5 terabyte hard drive. I've got a solid processor, and I've got a future-proof system that's going to last me for the next few years. And yes, I do have a discrete microphone now and a better webcam. So with all that, I think I can safely say that my old system, even though I had been using it for 2 years, 2 to 3 years more like 2 years, even though it had served me for a long time, and for that matter, the case was an atrocious one because it's an old one, but even though the system lasted for a while, it handled things pretty well. I think it's safe to say that times are changing. Things are getting more demanding. My needs are going to be increasing, and realistically, if I'm going to be making content for you guys, I need a better system. So, with that, I think it's safe to say that my system is complete. All benchmarking has been finished, all construction has been finished, and all editing has been completed. I hope at this point. So, with that out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please do leave a like. I do appreciate it. It's going to help out my channel, if you don't mind. There will be links in the description below to different timestamps if you want to know like where to go to if you want to see a specific part of it. So check that out as well, and see my introductory video to my channel, because maybe you don't know who I am, but thank you guys so much for watching this epic saga, and I will most definitely see you in the next one.